What if I told you that your past isn't fixed? What if every painful memory, every mistake, every regret you carry could be rewritten? Not forgotten, not suppressed, actually changed at the quantum level. What if the version of the past you remember is just one possibility, and you have the power to select a different one? This isn't science fiction. This isn't positive thinking. This is quantum mechanics meeting ancient mystical wisdom. And what I'm about to show you will fundamentally alter how you understand time itself. See, you've been taught that time flows in one direction: past, present, future. A straight line. You can't change what happened yesterday, right? Wrong. Quantum physics has discovered something that mystics have known for thousands of years. Time isn't linear. The past, present, and future are happening simultaneously. And your consciousness, your observation, your attention, determines which version of reality you experience. There's a technique so powerful that Neville Goddard called it his most important teaching. A method that allows you to literally revise past events and watch your present reality shift to match. Scientists call it retroactive causation. Mystics call it revision. I call it the most underutilized superpower you possess. But here's the thing. Once you understand this, once you actually do this, you can never see your past the same way again. Every trauma, every failure, every unchangeable event becomes just one possibility among infinite others. Are you ready to rewrite your history? Let's begin. You're carrying a past that's crushing you. Maybe it's a relationship that ended badly, a career opportunity you missed, words you said that destroyed a friendship, a moment of weakness that defined you, a trauma that still controls your present. And every day you carry these memories like chains. They shape how you see yourself. They limit what you believe is possible. They create the lens through which you experience reality. But here's what nobody tells you. The past you remember isn't the past that happened. It's one interpretation, one collapsed possibility, one version of infinite potential timelines. Think about this for a second. You've probably had the experience of remembering an event differently than someone else who was there. Same moment, completely different memories. Which one is true? Both. Neither. Memory isn't a recording, it's a reconstruction. Every time you remember something, you're literally recreating it in your consciousness. And neuroscience has proven that memories change every single time you access them. Your brain doesn't store memories like files on a hard drive. It stores fragments, patterns, emotional signatures. And every time you remember, you rebuild the memory from these pieces. You recreate the past in the present moment, which means the past is never truly past. It only exists as a current mental construct, a story you tell yourself now about something that happened then. And if the past only exists in your current consciousness, you can change it. Now, most people hear this and think I'm talking about reframing, positive reinterpretation, finding the silver lining, looking at your trauma through a new lens. No, I'm talking about something far more radical. Something quantum physics confirms is not only possible, but inevitable. I'm talking about actually changing what happened, not your interpretation of it, the event itself. Let me explain the science before you close this video thinking I've lost my mind. In 2007, scientists performed an experiment that broke everything we thought we knew about time. It's called the Delayed Choice Quantum Eraser Experiment, and it proved that an observation made in the present can change what happened in the past. Here's what they did. They fired photons through a double-slit apparatus. The classic experiment that shows particles behave as waves until observed. But here's the twist. They delayed the measurement. They let the photons complete their journey before deciding whether to observe which path they took. The result? The choice made in the present, whether to measure or not, changed how the photons behaved in the past. The particles retroactively decided whether they went through one slit or both, based on a measurement that happened after they'd already passed through. Let that sink in. The future changed the past. Your present observation altered what had already occurred. This isn't philosophy. This is repeatable, verified quantum mechanics. And it gets deeper. Physicist John Wheeler proposed what he called the delayed choice experiment, which suggests that the universe's entire history, all 13.8 billion years, remains in a state of quantum superposition until conscious observation collapses it into a definite history. Your observation now determines the past. Not your memory of the past, the actual past. Still think your history is fixed? The ancient mystics knew this. Neville Goddard taught a technique he called revision in the 1940s, decades before quantum mechanics caught up. He said that you could revise any past event, and the revision would become the new reality. Not metaphorically, actually. Joseph Murphy called it scientific prayer applied retroactively. He documented case after case of people healing relationships that had ended, recovering lost opportunities, even healing physical conditions by revising the past events that created them. The Kabbalists had a concept called tikkun, the repair or correction of past events through present consciousness. They understood that time is an illusion and that the eternal now contains all possibilities. Hermetic philosophy states, as above, so below, as within, so without. Your internal revision of the past creates external changes in the present. Because there is no separation between inner and outer, between then and now. But here's where most people get stuck. They think the past is solid because they can see its effects in the present. I can't change the past because I'm still experiencing the consequences. That's backwards. You're experiencing consequences because you keep energizing the old version of the past. Your continuous attention to the unwanted memory keeps collapsing that particular timeline into your present reality. The moment you revise the past, truly revise it, with feeling and acceptance, you shift to a timeline where that event occurred differently, and the present rearranges itself to match. I know this sounds impossible. Your logical mind is fighting this hard right now. Good. That resistance is the exact mechanism that's kept you locked into one timeline when infinite others are available. But before we get to the technique, and I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step process that actually works, you need to understand why this isn't just wishful thinking. Your brain operates on what neuroscientists call predictive processing. It doesn't experience reality directly. It creates a simulation based on past data and current sensory input. You're always living in a prediction, a model, a story. And if you change the foundational memories that create the prediction, the entire simulation shifts. Your brain will literally reorganize your present experience to match the revised past. Not because you're fooling yourself, but because the past and present are not separate. They're one quantum field, and consciousness navigates it. You're about to learn how. Let's go deeper into the quantum mechanics that make retroactive manifestation possible. Everything you're about to learn has been proven in laboratory conditions. This isn't theory. This is how reality actually works at the fundamental level. First, understand this. Time doesn't flow. I know your experience says otherwise. You feel like you're moving through time from past to future. But quantum mechanics reveals that this is an illusion created by consciousness. At the quantum level, all moments exist simultaneously. The past, present, and future are laid out like points on a map. You experience them sequentially because of how your consciousness processes information, but they all exist now. Physicist Julian Barber literally wrote a book called The End of Time, explaining how time doesn't exist at the fundamental level of reality. What we experience as time is actually a sequence of static nows, each complete and eternal. Carlo Rovelli, one of the founders of loop quantum gravity, explains it like this. The difference between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Einstein proved this with relativity. Depending on your speed and gravitational field, you experience time differently. There is no universal now. Your present is different from someone else's present. Time is relative to the observer, which means there's no objective past that's the same for everyone. Your past is your past, and it's mutable. Now here's where it gets wild. The observer effect. In quantum mechanics, particles exist in a state called superposition, all possible states at once, until observed. The act of observation collapses the wave function into one definite state. You've heard about Schrödinger's cat, right? The cat is simultaneously alive and dead until someone opens the box and observes. The observation creates the reality. But here's what most people miss. The observation doesn't have to happen at the same time as the event. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiment proved this. The observation can happen later and still determine what happened earlier.
Your present consciousness collapses the wave function of the past.
Think about a moment from your childhood, maybe something embarrassing that happened. Right now, as you think about it, you're collapsing that memory into a particular state. You're choosing which version of that event to experience. But it's still in superposition. Other versions exist where it played out differently. And you can observe, collapse, a different version. When you revise the past using the technique I'm going to teach you, you're not pretending, you're not delusional. You're selecting a different quantum possibility that actually exists. Physicist Aharonov discovered what's called the two-state vector formalism, which suggests that quantum events are influenced by both past and future boundary conditions. The past influences the present, but the present also influences the past. Causation runs both directions in quantum mechanics. There's even experimental evidence for what's called retrocausality, the present affecting the past. Studies on precognition, like Dean Radin's double-slit consciousness experiments, show that human intention in the present can affect the behavior of particles in the past. Your consciousness isn't limited to forward causation. Now, let's talk about the many worlds interpretation. Physicist Hugh Everett proposed that every quantum possibility actually occurs. When you face a choice, all versions of you make all possible choices, each in a different branch of reality. Right now, there's a version of you in a parallel timeline where that painful event from your past happened differently, where you said the right words, where you made the better choice, where the relationship worked. That version exists. It's just as real as this one. And the technique of revision is how you shift your consciousness to that timeline. Neville Goddard understood this intuitively decades before physicists caught up. He taught that imagination creates reality.
When you imagine a different past, when you vividly experience it as already done, you shift to the timeline where that's the actual past. He wasn't being metaphorical. He was describing quantum timeline navigation. Let me give you the mechanics of how this works at the consciousness level. Your brain has what's called a reticular activating system, the RAS. It filters reality based on what you've determined is important. If you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but your RAS filtered them out. Your memories are part of this filtering system. They tell your brain what's possible, what's true, what to expect. When you revise a memory, when you consistently imagine a different version until it feels more real than the original, your RAS begins filtering for evidence of that new past. And here's the miracle. It finds it. Not because you're making it up, but because you're collapsing a different set of quantum probabilities. You're navigating to a timeline where that revision is the actual history. Physical evidence shifts, documents change, other people's memories adjust. The universe rearranges itself to match your revision. I know how insane this sounds, but I've experienced it. Thousands of people who practice Neville's revision technique have experienced it. You revise a conversation that went badly. Days later, the person texts you as if the conversation went well. You check old texts, and they match your revision, not your original memory. You revise a job interview. Suddenly, you get a call for a position you thought you'd been rejected from. You revise a childhood trauma. The emotional charge disappears. People who were present remember it differently. Your entire relationship with that person shifts. This is quantum navigation through consciousness. But it only works if you understand the next critical piece. Your revision must be done in a specific state of consciousness, not waking consciousness, not analytical thinking. You need to access what Neville called the state akin to sleep, the hypnagogic state, where your brainwaves shift to theta and your critical factor dissolves. In this state, your subconscious mind, which doesn't distinguish between imagination and physical reality, accepts the revision as fact. And once your subconscious accepts it as fact, your entire reality reorganizes to match. Neuroscience explains this through neuroplasticity. Your brain literally rewires based on imagined experiences just as powerfully as physical ones. Studies with athletes show that mental practice creates almost identical neural patterns as physical practice. When you vividly revise a past event, your brain creates new neural pathways as if it actually happened. These pathways become stronger than the old ones. The new memory becomes the dominant one. And since reality is largely a projection of your neural patterns, reality shifts to match. But here's what trips most people up. They try to revise from a place of desperation, from a place of, this didn't happen the way I want, so I need to change it. That energy, that resistance to what is, keeps you locked in the original timeline. The revision must be done from a state of completion, of it already being done, of simply selecting the timeline that already exists, not creating it, selecting it. This is key. All possibilities already exist in the quantum field. You're not manifesting something new. You're tuning your consciousness to a different frequency, where a different past is the actual past. Think of it like radio stations. All the stations are broadcasting simultaneously. You don't create the music when you turn the dial. You tune to the frequency where that music already exists. Revision is tuning to the frequency of a different past. And when you do it correctly, with feeling, with assumption, with the state of already done, the shift happens automatically.
Your consciousness slides into alignment with that timeline, and your present reality simply adjusts. Let me show you exactly how to do this. Now let's explore what the ancient wisdom traditions knew about changing the past. Because while quantum physics is just catching up,
Mystics have been practicing retroactive manifestation for thousands of years. Let's start with Neville Goddard. Neville taught revision as his most powerful technique. He said, and I quote, "However, if the day has gone on and you have not succeeded in purging yourself of these unlovely states, do it in retrospect. All you need do is revise the day." He discovered this through direct experience. One night, he revised a conversation that had bothered him. He replayed it in imagination, but this time with the outcome he preferred. He did this until the imagined version felt more real than what actually happened. The next day, the person contacted him and behaved as if the revised conversation had occurred. Neville experimented with this for years. He revised everything from minor annoyances to major life events. And he found that the more emotionally charged the revision, the faster and more completely reality shifted. He taught a specific process. Before sleep, review your day. When you encounter an event that didn't go as you wished, replay it. But this time, imagine it unfolding perfectly. Experience the revision with sensory vividness. See it, hear it, feel it. Most importantly, experience the emotion of the wish fulfilled. Then fall asleep in that state. Your subconscious, in the theta wave state of sleep transition, accepts the revision as reality, and the quantum field rearranges to match. Neville said, "The past is gone. The future is not yet to come. Only the present moment is real, and in the present moment, you can revise the past and script the future." He was describing quantum superposition in mystical language. Joseph Murphy, another giant of mental science, taught what he called scientific prayer for past events. Murphy explained that your subconscious mind exists outside of time. It doesn't know the difference between past, present, and future. When you impress a desire upon your subconscious with feeling and conviction, it works to bring that into manifestation, regardless of when you want it to occur. He documented cases of people using prayer to heal past traumas, resolve old conflicts, even change the outcomes of events that had already happened. One of his most famous examples, a woman whose son had been in a terrible accident. She prayed not that he would heal, future, but that he was already healed and that the accident had been minor, revision of the past event itself. Within days, the son's condition dramatically improved, and doctors found that the injuries were far less severe than initially diagnosed. Murphy explained, "Your subconscious mind is one with infinite intelligence and boundless wisdom. It is the medium through which you can change the past, present, and future. For to your deeper mind, all is now." The Kabbalistic tradition has an entire framework for this called Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world. But there's a deeper, less-known concept, Tikkun HaNefesh, the repair of the soul. This includes healing your own past through what Kabbalists call elevating the sparks. In Kabbalistic cosmology, when you have a negative experience, holy sparks become trapped in the shell of that experience, what they call kelipot. Your job is to go back and elevate those sparks by reimagining the event from a higher perspective. This isn't just reframing. The Kabbalists believed you actually change the spiritual essence of the past event, which then changes its manifestation in physical reality. Rabbi Isaac Luria, the founder of modern Kabbalah, taught that one of the primary purposes of consciousness is to repair the past.
He said that everything that has ever happened is still happening in the eternal present, and our consciousness has the power to heal all of it.
Think about that. Your consciousness exists in the eternal now, where all time is accessible. From that vantage point, You can reach into what appears to be past and alter it at its foundation. The Vedic tradition in Hinduism teaches a similar concept through the idea of samskara, mental impressions from the past that create karma. But here's what most people miss. Samskaras aren't fixed. They can be revised through what's called pratipaksha bhavana, the cultivation of the opposite thought. When a negative mental impression arises, you don't just suppress it or think positively about it. You enter meditation and vividly imagine the opposite scenario. You experience it so completely that it creates a new samskara that's stronger than the original. This new mental impression then becomes the dominant one, and your karma, the fruition of past actions, shifts accordingly. The ancient yogis understood that the past exists as mental impressions, and mental impressions can be rewritten. In Buddhism, there's a practice called emptiness meditation that reveals the illusory nature of all phenomena, including time. When you deeply realize that everything is empty of inherent existence, that nothing has a fixed, permanent nature, you understand that the past is just as empty as the present or future. It has no solid reality. It's a construction of mind. From this realization, advanced practitioners can actually revise their karma. They can go back to moments of unskillful action and, through deep meditation, reimagine those moments with skillful action. The great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh taught, "The past is still here. It is in your cells, in your consciousness. And if the past is still here,
It can be transformed." He prescribed a practice of watering good seeds, going back to positive memories and amplifying them, while simultaneously revising painful memories by imagining them unfolding with compassion and wisdom. This isn't denial. It's quantum editing of your timeline. The Hermetic tradition, which influenced Western mysticism for centuries, has a principle that directly relates to this. As above, so below. As within, so without. Your internal world creates your external world. Change your internal representation of the past, and the external effects of that past must change. Hermes Trismegistus taught, "The all is mind. The universe is mental." If everything is mental construction, then the past is a mental construction that can be reconstructed. The Hermetic masters practiced what they called mental transmutation, the art of changing mental states from one condition to another. This included transmuting the past. They understood that time is a mental framework, not an objective reality. From the perspective of the all, infinite consciousness, there is no time. Everything exists in the eternal now. Your consciousness, being a spark of the all, has access to this timeless perspective. From here, you can step outside the linear flow of time and rearrange it. Even Christian mysticism contains this teaching, though it's been largely forgotten. The concept of forgiveness, in its deepest sense, doesn't mean excusing what happened. The Greek word aphiemi actually means to send away or release. When you truly forgive, when you release the past, you're not just letting go of resentment. You're releasing that version of the past from your consciousness, allowing a different version to emerge. Jesus taught, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Notice the past tense. Have received, not will receive. The mystics understood this as instruction to collapse the wave function. Imagine what you want as already done, already past, already received. Then it manifests in your present. This works for revising the past, too. Imagine the past as you wish it had been, as already done, already completed.
Then it becomes the actual past. The Sufi tradition has a beautiful practice called dhikr, remembrance of the divine. But advanced Sufis use dhikr to remember not just God, but to remember their true timeline. The timeline where they always made choices aligned with divine will. They enter ecstatic states through chanting and dancing, and in these states they revise their entire history. They remember themselves as always having been pure, always having been aligned, always having been blessed. And their present reality shifts to match this remembrance. Rumi wrote, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I am changing myself." But he also wrote, "The past and the future veil God from our sight. Burn up both of them with fire." When you burn up past and future, you enter the eternal present. And from the eternal present, you can rewrite both. All of these traditions, Neville, Murphy, Kabbalah, Vedanta, Buddhism, Hermeticism, Christian mysticism, Sufism, are pointing to the same truth. Time is an illusion. The past is not fixed. Your consciousness is the author of your timeline, and you can revise the story at any moment. The technique is essentially the same across all traditions. 1. Enter a deeply relaxed, meditative state. 2. Vividly imagine the past event as you wish it had occurred. 3. Experience it with full sensory detail and emotion. 4. Accept it as done, as real, as the actual past. 5. Release it and return to the present. When done correctly, the quantum field responds, the timeline shifts, reality rearranges, and you wake up in a world where that revision is the actual history.
Now, let me give you the exact step-by-step process. Here's exactly how to perform retroactive manifestation. I'm going to give you 7 specific techniques from beginner to advanced. Master these, and you master time itself. Technique 1. The Neville Goddard Daily Revision. This is the foundational practice. Do this every single night without fail. Before sleep, review your day from end to beginning, like watching a movie in reverse. Start with the present moment and move backward through your day. When you encounter any event that didn't go as you wished, a conversation that was awkward, a moment when you reacted poorly, something someone said that bothered you, an opportunity you missed, stop. Now, here's the key. Don't just reimagine it, revise it. Step 1. Replay the scene in your imagination, but this time with the outcome you prefer. If a conversation went badly, imagine it going well. Hear the words you wish you'd said. See the person responding positively. Feel the relief and satisfaction of the exchange going perfectly. Step 2. Make it vivid. Engage all your senses. See the scene clearly. Hear the actual voices. Feel the emotions. Smell the environment. Touch the objects around you. The more sensory detail, the more real it becomes to your subconscious. Step 3. Repeat the revised scene 3 to 5 times until it feels more real than what actually happened. This is crucial. You're not trying to remember the revision. You're making the revision the dominant memory. Keep replaying it until the emotional charge of the original event dissolves and the revision feels like what actually occurred. Step 4. Feel the relief, satisfaction, or joy of the wish fulfilled. This emotional state is what seals the revision. Your subconscious responds to emotion, not logic. When you feel the wish fulfilled, your subconscious accepts it as reality. Step 5.
Move to the next event in your reverse chronology and repeat. Continue backward through your day,
revising anything that needs revising. Step 6. Fall asleep in the state of the wish fulfilled. As you drift off, maintain the feeling of your revised day. Don't worry about remembering each revision, just feel the general satisfaction of a perfect day. What to expect? In the beginning, you might notice subtle shifts. People treat you differently. Conversations feel easier. But as you practice consistently, you'll notice bigger changes. Events you revised will produce different consequences in your present. People will remember things the way you revised them, not the way they originally occurred. Common mistake: trying to force the revision logically. This didn't happen, so I'll just pretend it did. That doesn't work. You must enter the feeling state. You must make it real in imagination. Logic won't shift timelines. Feeling does. Practice this for 30 days straight, and your entire reality will transform. Technique 2. The quantum healing of trauma. This technique is for bigger events: childhood trauma, relationship wounds, major failures or regrets. Do this in a dedicated session, not as part of daily revision. Step 1. Choose one specific traumatic event you want to revise. Don't try to heal your entire childhood in one session. Pick one memory that still carries an emotional charge. Step 2. Create a safe, relaxed environment. Sit or lie down comfortably. Dim lights, no distractions. You're about to access deep subconscious territory. Step 3. Enter a deeply relaxed state through progressive relaxation or meditation. Start with your toes. Tense them, then release. Move up through your body: calves, thighs, abdomen, chest, arms, face. With each release, feel yourself sinking deeper into relaxation. Your goal is to reach the theta brainwave state, that drowsy, hypnagogic state where subconscious programming is most effective. Step 4. Recall the traumatic event as it originally occurred, but only briefly. You're not dwelling on the trauma. You're just accessing the memory so you can revise it. Feel where it sits in your body. Notice the emotional charge. Step 5. Now, revise it completely. Imagine the event unfolding in the most ideal way possible. If you were hurt, imagine being protected. If you were abandoned, imagine being chosen. If you failed, imagine succeeding brilliantly. Don't be limited by what seems realistic. This is quantum revision. All possibilities exist. Choose the best one. Step 6. Experience the revised event with full emotional intensity. This is where the magic happens. Actually feel the joy, relief, love, or triumph of the revised event. Let the emotions move through your body. This is what rewires your neural pathways and shifts your timeline. Step 7. Repeat the revised version 10 to 15 times in this session. Each time, add more detail. Make it more vivid. Feel it more deeply. You're building a new neural pathway that's stronger than the old trauma pathway. Step 8. End with gratitude and release. Thank the universe for the healing. Feel deep gratitude that this revision is now your actual past. Then release it completely. Don't obsess over whether it worked. Trust the process. What to expect? Immediately, you might feel lighter. The emotional charge of the original event decreases or disappears entirely. Over the following days and weeks, you'll notice your present reality shifting.
Relationships connected to that event heal. New opportunities emerge. Physical symptoms related to the trauma may resolve. One woman I know revised childhood abandonment by her father. She spent 1 hour in deep meditation, vividly imagining her father choosing her, celebrating her, being present. 2 weeks later, her father, who hadn't spoken to her in 5 years, called to apologize and reconnect. The timeline shifted. Common mistake: half-hearted revision. I'll imagine it, but I don't really believe it's possible. Your belief isn't necessary at the start, but your full engagement is. Commit fully to the imaginative act, and belief will follow. Technique 3. The Timeline Jump Protocol. This is for when you want to completely shift to a different life trajectory based on a different past. Step 1. Identify the pivotal moment where your life diverged from your ideal path. Maybe it's when you chose the wrong career, stayed in the wrong relationship, moved to the wrong city, didn't speak up when you should have. Step 2. Imagine the alternate timeline, the one where you made the different choice. Don't just imagine the moment of choice. Imagine the entire cascade of events that would have followed. See yourself living that different life. Where would you be now if you'd made that choice? Who would you be with? What would you do each day? Step 3. Create a vivid scene from that alternate timeline that represents your current life in that reality. For example, if the different choice was taking a job offer you declined, don't just imagine accepting the offer. Imagine yourself 5 years later in that career, successful and fulfilled. Make it a specific scene. Maybe you're presenting at a conference, receiving an award, or celebrating a promotion. Step 4. Enter deep relaxation and live in that scene. Use the same process as before. Theta state, full sensory immersion. But this time, you're not just revising one event. You're occupying an entire alternate timeline. Feel yourself as the person you would be in that timeline. Embody that identity. Think their thoughts. Feel their emotions. Experience their reality as your reality. Set 5. Spend 20 to 30 minutes in this alternate timeline. Don't rush. Live there. Walk around in imagination. Interact with people. Experience the day-to-day life of that version of you. Step 6. Make the assumption that this is now your actual timeline. This is the quantum jump. You're not hoping to shift. You're assuming you already have. The shift happened in imagination. Now, you're simply living from that assumption. Step 7. Look for evidence of the shift in your present reality. Over the following days, you'll start noticing coincidences. Opportunities related to that alternate timeline will appear. People will treat you differently. Doors will open that align with the revised past. What to expect? This is the most dramatic technique. You're not just revising an event, you're shifting your entire life trajectory. The changes can be subtle at first, but they compound rapidly. Within 30 to 90 days, your external reality should dramatically reflect the alternate timeline. Common mistake: mixing timelines. One day you're in the alternate timeline, the next day you're back in the old one. Consistency is key. Make the assumption and maintain it. Don't waver. Technique 4. The Relationship Revision Ritual. Use this to heal any relationship: romantic, family, friendship, professional. Step 1. Choose the relationship you want to revise. Step 2. Identify the specific events that damaged the relationship. Maybe it was a fight, a betrayal, a misunderstanding, words that were said or not said. List the key moments. Step 3. Revise each event one by one. Use the basic revision technique from Method 1, but with extra focus on the other person's response. Imagine them responding with love, understanding, forgiveness, or whatever you wish they had offered. Step 4. Create a revision session where you imagine a recent positive interaction. This is key for relationship healing. Don't just revise the negative past. Create a new, positive memory. Imagine having a wonderful conversation with this person yesterday or last week. Make it vivid. Make it real. Step 5. Repeat this process daily for 21 days. Each day, revise one old wound and create one new positive memory. What to expect? The relationship will shift, often dramatically. The person may reach out unexpectedly. Your next interaction with them will feel different, lighter, warmer. They may apologize without knowing why.
The entire dynamic changes because you've changed the energetic foundation. I've seen this work countless times. Estranged family members reconnect, failed relationships resurrect, toxic dynamics transform into healthy ones. Why? Because relationships exist in the quantum field as much as in physical reality. When you revise the energetic history, the physical relationship must adjust. Common mistake: trying to control the other person's free will. You're not manipulating them. You're shifting to a timeline where the relationship naturally unfolded differently. They always had the potential to respond positively. You're just selecting the timeline where they did. Alexis Technique 5, the Past Life Revision Advanced. This is controversial, but powerful. If you believe in reincarnation, or even just entertain it as a possibility, you can revise past lives to heal present issues. Step 1. Identify a current life pattern that seems to have no origin in this lifetime. Maybe an irrational fear, an instant connection or repulsion to someone, a persistent block despite all your healing work. Step 2. Enter deep meditation and ask your subconscious to show you the origin. Don't force it, just hold the intention and see what arises. You might get a vision, a feeling, a knowing. Step 3. When a past life scene arises, observe it without attachment. See yourself in that life. Understand what happened. Feel the emotions, but don't drown in them. Step 4. Revise the past life event. Just like you revise current life events, revise the past life trauma. Imagine it unfolding in a healed way. See that past life version of you making different choices or being protected from harm. Step 5. Feel the healing ripple through all your lifetimes to this one. This is the power of this technique. When you heal a past life, you heal the karmic pattern it created. The effects show up in your present life. What to expect? Immediate relief from the pattern. Fears dissolve, blocks release. You might even notice physical changes if the past life trauma was connected to a physical condition. Is it real or just symbolic? Doesn't matter. Your subconscious responds either way. The healing is real. Technique 6. The retroactive manifestation of opportunities. Use this when you regret missing an opportunity, a job offer, an investment, a relationship, a creative project. Step 1. Identify the opportunity you missed. Step 2. Imagine yourself taking that opportunity. Not just accepting it, but thriving in it. See yourself successful in that path. Step 3. Revise the moment when you said no or failed to act into a moment where you said yes. Vividly imagine accepting the offer, making the investment, asking the person out,
starting the project. Step 4. Live in the timeline where you took that opportunity. For 1 week, spend 20 minutes each day experiencing your life as if you took that path. What to expect? One of two things happens. Either the opportunity returns in a new form, you get a second chance, or an even better opportunity appears that's aligned with what you wanted from the original. The universe doesn't let good intentions go to waste. When you revise taking the opportunity, you signal that you're ready. Reality responds. Technique 7. The quantum pause, instant micro revision. This is a real-time technique for immediate situations. Step 1. When something unpleasant happens, pause. Before you react, before you accept it as fixed reality, pause for 3 seconds. Step 2. In those 3 seconds, imagine it happening differently. Don't overthink it. Just flash to an alternate version. Someone is rude to you? Flash to them being kind. You miss the train? Flash to catching it. You say something awkward? Flash to saying it perfectly. Step 3. Feel the alternate version as real, then release it. Don't obsess. Just a quick 3-second revision, then move on. What to expect? This won't always work in the moment,
but it prevents the event from solidifying as fixed reality in your consciousness. You'll often notice that the consequences you expected don't materialize, or the situation resolves in unexpected ways. This is a practice in real-time timeline navigation. Master this, and you master reality itself. Now, let's talk about what happens when you actually start practicing retroactive manifestation consistently. First, you'll notice immediate changes in your emotional state. Events that used to trigger you, memories that would send you spiraling into shame, anger, or sadness, suddenly lose their charge. You think about them and feel nothing, or you feel at peace. This isn't suppression. The event didn't disappear from your awareness, but the emotional energy connected to it has dissolved because you've shifted to a timeline where it occurred differently. Your nervous system recalibrates. Trauma lives in the body. It's stored in your nervous system as dysregulation, hypervigilance, chronic stress, emotional reactivity. When you revise traumatic events, your nervous system literally reorganizes. Studies on PTSD show that imaginal exposure therapy, vividly imagining traumatic events with positive outcomes, can be as effective as traditional trauma therapy. You're doing something even more powerful. You're not just imagining a positive outcome, you're collapsing into a timeline where the trauma didn't occur as originally experienced. Your body responds accordingly. Tension releases. Sleep improves. Chronic pain connected to past trauma often diminishes or disappears. Next, you'll notice changes in your relationships. People who were estranged will contact you. Conflicts that seemed permanent will suddenly resolve. People will treat you differently, better, for reasons they can't explain. This freaks people out at first. Why is my ex being nice to me? We haven't spoken in 2 years. Because in the timeline you've shifted to, the breakup occurred differently. Maybe it was amicable. Maybe there was closure. Maybe it never happened. Your consciousness is in that timeline now, and everyone around you adjusts to match. Some people report even stranger experiences, finding old text messages or emails that they swear said something different before, photos that look different, small details in their environment that have changed. This is the Mandela effect on a personal scale. You've shifted timelines, and the physical evidence is updating to match. Not everyone will notice these changes. In fact, most won't. But you will
because you're the one who made the shift. You'll also notice new opportunities appearing, opportunities that align with your revised past. If you revised failing at a career choice, suddenly you get headhunted for a position in that field. If you revised a financial mistake, an unexpected windfall appears that exactly equals what you lost. The universe is fractal and self-similar. It maintains coherence. When you change the past, the present rearranges to maintain logical flow. But here's where people often stumble. Doubt will arise. Your logical mind will fight this. This is crazy. I'm delusional. I can't actually change the past. That doubt is the ego resisting timeline shifts. The ego exists in linear time. Its entire identity is built on this happened, then that happened, now I am this person. When you start collapsing that linear structure, the ego panics. Expect this. Don't fight the doubt. Just acknowledge it and return to the practice. The proof isn't in believing. The proof is in the results. Practice the technique. Watch your reality shift. Then you won't need belief. You'll have direct experience. Another common experience: timeline bleed-through. Sometimes you'll have dual memories. The original event and the revised event will both feel real. This is normal. You're in the transition phase between timelines.
Hey, don't try to figure out which one is true. Both are equally valid quantum possibilities. Just continue focusing on the preferred timeline, and eventually, it becomes the dominant one. You might also notice increased synchronicities. Once you start consciously navigating timelines, you become more sensitive to the quantum nature of reality. You'll see repeating numbers more often. Meaningful coincidences will multiply. Dreams will become more vivid and precognitive. This is your consciousness expanding beyond linear time. You're starting to perceive the interconnected web of all possibilities. Embrace it. It's a sign you're doing the work correctly. Now, the biggest transformation. Your entire identity shifts. When you realize you can change your past, you're no longer defined by it. The story of, "I am this way because of what happened to me," dissolves. You become the author of your story, not the victim of it. This is true freedom. Most people are prisoners of their history. Every choice they make is constrained by what they believe their past allows. I can't do that because I'm not qualified. I can't have that relationship because I have trust issues from my past. I can't be successful because I come from poverty. All limitations based on past events. But when you revise the past, you can rewrite your qualifications. You can heal the trust wounds. You can change your origin story. Suddenly, all possibilities are available. You're not who you were. You're who you choose to be, based on the past you choose to have. This is quantum identity. Fluid, mutable, empowered. But with this power comes responsibility. Don't use revision to escape accountability. Don't revise your mistakes so you can keep making them. The point isn't to create a false past where you're perfect. The point is to heal the wounds that prevent you from becoming who you're meant to be. Revise with wisdom. Revise with compassion. Revise for growth. And here's the final transformation you'll experience. Time will feel different. You'll start to experience the eternal present. The past won't feel as heavy because you know it's mutable. The future won't feel as uncertain because you know you can script it. You'll rest more fully in now.
This is the ultimate goal of all spiritual practice, to be fully present. And retroactive manifestation, paradoxically, gets you there by showing you that past and future are mental constructs you can revise at will. When you realize this deeply, when you embody it, you become timeless. You become the eternal consciousness you've always been, temporarily playing in the realm of time, but no longer bound by it. That's the real transformation, not just changing your past, but transcending time itself. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture of what's happening right now. You're living through a mass awakening to the true nature of reality. For centuries, humanity has been locked in a materialist paradigm. The belief that reality is solid, objective, unchangeable, that time flows in one direction, that the past is fixed and the future is uncertain. This paradigm has served its purpose. It allowed us to build civilizations, develop technology, create structure. But it's also imprisoned us. We've forgotten our power. We've forgotten that consciousness is the foundation of reality, not matter. We've forgotten that we're not victims of time, we're creators of it. Quantum physics has been trying to tell us this for a century, but the message has been suppressed or intellectualized away. The observer effect, wave-particle duality, quantum superposition, entanglement, all of these discoveries point to one undeniable truth. Consciousness creates reality, not observes it, creates it. And if consciousness creates reality in the present, it can revise reality in the past and script reality in the future. This is the knowledge that's been kept from you.
Not by some shadowy cabal necessarily, but by a collective agreement to remain in the illusion of powerlessness. But the agreement is breaking. More people are waking up to their power. More people are experimenting with manifestation, with timeline shifting, with quantum navigation. And as the critical mass grows, the entire collective reality is shifting. We're moving from a fear-based timeline to a love-based timeline. From scarcity to abundance, from separation to unity. But this shift requires individuals like you to take responsibility for your own timeline first. You can't wait for the world to change. You have to change your world. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is to heal your past. Every person walking around with unhealed trauma is broadcasting that trauma into the collective field. They're anchoring timelines of pain, fear, victimhood. When you revise your past, you don't just heal yourself, you heal the collective. You remove your energy from timelines of suffering and add it to timelines of healing. Imagine if 1 million people revised their childhood trauma. The entire collective energy around childhood would shift. Society would transform. This is how we change the world, not through politics or force, but through consciousness. And it starts with you changing your past. Now, there will be resistance to this knowledge. The old paradigm doesn't want you to know you're this powerful. The systems of control rely on you believing you're helpless, that you're at the mercy of circumstances, that you're defined by your history. If you realize you can change your history, you become ungovernable. You can't be manipulated by guilt, shame, or fear. You can't be sold solutions to problems you can revise out of existence. This is why this teaching has always been kept in mystery schools, in secret societies, in mystical traditions. Not because it's evil or dangerous, but because it's the ultimate liberation. And liberated beings are the greatest threat to systems of control. So expect pushback. Expect people to call you crazy, delusional, irresponsible. That's the old paradigm defending itself.
Don't argue, don't justify. Just practice the technique and let your results speak for themselves. When your life transforms, when your relationships heal, when opportunities appear, when you become living proof of the power of consciousness, that's when others will start to question their own limitations. You don't convert people with words. You convert them with embodiment. Be the person who walks in freedom. Be the person who's not defined by their past. Be the person who navigates timelines with ease. That's the real revolution. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't need a guru to tell you you're ready. You don't need a certification. You don't need to achieve some spiritual level. You can start right now, tonight, before you fall asleep. Review your day. Revise what needs revising. Fall asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's it. Simple, but profound. Do it consistently, and your entire reality will reorganize. Do it with enough people, and the entire collective reality will shift. We're at a tipping point. The old timeline of suffering is collapsing. The new timeline of empowerment is emerging. Where you place your consciousness determines which timeline becomes your reality. Choose wisely. Choose the timeline where you're healed, where you're powerful, where you're free. That timeline already exists. All you have to do is align with it. And the technique I've taught you today is the alignment mechanism. Use it, master it, become it. The universe is waiting for you to remember who you really are. You've just learned something that most people will never understand. You now know that the past isn't fixed, that time is an illusion,
That your consciousness has the power to navigate timelines and select which version of history becomes your reality. This isn't theory. This isn't philosophy. This is practical, applicable quantum mechanics combined with ancient mystical wisdom. But here's the thing. Knowledge without application is worthless. You can watch this video, think, "That's interesting," and go back to living as if your past defines you. Or you can take what you've learned and actually use it. Tonight, before you sleep, you're going to revise your day. You're going to replay the events that didn't go perfectly and imagine them unfolding exactly as you wish they had. You're going to do this with sensory vividness, with emotion, with the assumption that the revision is real. And you're going to fall asleep in that state. If you do this, if you actually do this, your life will begin to change. Not might, will. Because you'll be operating on a fundamental law of reality that most people don't even know exists. Now, here's your choice. You can walk away from this video and let it fade into the background of your awareness, just another piece of content consumed and forgotten. Or you can decide right now that this is the moment your life changed. The moment you stopped being a victim of your history and became the author of your timeline. One path leads back to the same patterns, the same limitations, the same regrets. The other path leads to freedom. Which path are you choosing? If you're serious about this, if you're ready to actually practice retroactive manifestation and transform your reality, here's what to do. Drop a comment below with the words, "Timeline shifted." Not, "I want to shift," or "I hope this works." Timeline shifted. Present tense, already done, assumption of completion. Let me know you're serious. Let me know you're committed to the practice. Let's flood the comments with this frequency and show the universe and the algorithm that we're ready for this level of truth.
This isn't just engagement. This is declaration. This is you publicly stating your intention to master time. And when enough of us make that declaration together, the collective timeline shifts. So comment "timeline shifted" right now before you do anything else. Next, subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications, because what I'm going to teach you in the coming videos builds on this foundation. We're going deeper into quantum navigation, timeline mastery, reality creation at the highest level. This is just the beginning. If you found value in this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Someone who's stuck in their past. Someone who's carrying trauma they think they can't heal. Someone who's limited by their history. Send them this video. Help them break free. Your transformation doesn't happen in isolation. As you heal, you create ripples. You make it easier for others to heal. That's how we change the world. One revised timeline at a time. Now, I want you to understand something crucial. This technique works. It's worked for thousands of people. It will work for you if you apply it consistently. But it requires commitment. You can't do it once and expect your entire past to transform. You have to make revision a daily practice. Every night before sleep, revise your day. Weekly, do deeper sessions on bigger traumas. Monthly, work on major timeline shifts. Make this a spiritual discipline, and your life will become unrecognizable within months. You'll heal wounds you thought were permanent. You'll attract opportunities you thought were gone forever. You'll become a person you didn't know you could be. All because you learned to revise the past. This is real power. Not power over others, power over your own experience of reality. Use it wisely. Use it compassionately. Use it for growth.
And remember, you're not alone in this. Thousands of people are practicing these techniques right now. We're building a community of timeline navigators, reality shifters, quantum creators. You're part of that community now. So comment "timeline shifted" below. Connect with others who are on this path. Support each other. Share your wins. Ask your questions. We're in this together. Your past is not your prison. It's your raw material. It's the clay you get to reshape into whatever form serves your highest evolution. The tools are in your hands now. The only question is, will you use them? I already know the answer. Because if you've watched this far, if you've stayed with me through this entire journey, you're ready. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. The universe doesn't make mistakes. You found this video at exactly the right time. This is your moment. Take it. Revise your past. Transform your present. Create your future. You are the author of your timeline. Now write the story you want to live. The quantum field is waiting for your revision.